Not according to the polls, Michelle, and of course, we thought it might even take longer to get to these results. We thought of, and the pollsters, the experts had said, look, if it's this close, we might see days. We heard Donald Trump complaining about how long he thought it was going to take to get final results. Even he didn't think it would come this fast. But Donald Trump built up such a sizable lead overnight that I want to take a look at the 2020 election results so we can compare from the blue of the Democrats to the red. If we can pull that graphic up, we will see that there really is a contrast. Look at that, Joe Biden 2020. 270 of those electoral votes required to win. He got 306. Donald Trump falling well short at 232. Again, look at the amount of red and the amount of blue. Because when we take a look at the next graphic and to the current figures of what we've seen so far over the last maybe 12 hours since the polls closed, and of course they are still counting the votes, it paints a very different picture. So looking at those current figures in terms of the latest election results, Kamala Harris is on 224. Remember, 270 electoral votes required to win. Donald Trump, 267. That's just 3 electoral votes needed. The states that are marked out in black have not declared their results yet. Alabama down there in terms of the various states, Alaska, I do beg your pardon, that has voted Republican for 60 years. All but a certainty to again go with Donald Trump and tip him over the line. Projections at the moment are that Donald Trump will end up with well over 300 electoral college votes. He's described it as the greatest political comeback ever. We heard from him just a few hours ago. Let's take a listen to how much of a comeback he's satisfied with.
Frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this.
Donald Trump says it's something that's never been seen before. Well, what we are going to take a look at is the swing states. Again, from 2020 to 2024, swing states are key, and they are the states that really shape up whoever wins these states between 5 and 7 is almost certainly always the person who ends up at the White House. Look, this is 2020. Look at the blue. Look at, sorry, I do beg your pardon, this is the figure from now. We should have Kamala Harris's photo up there. These are where we stand in 2020 in terms of just how much blue there is. Look at the figures there in terms of the states. A wall of blue. Blue was holding on firmly. Democrats in 2020 won 6. Donald Trump and Republicans won 1. We know he didn't make it back to the White House, and like I said, the votes are still being counted. But if we take a look at where the swing states sit at the moment, again, from what we have, it paints a completely different picture. Look at this live swing states. Look at the red. Currently, there is not a single state that is blue. So that means Kamala Harris has not managed to win one swing state. She might get 1 or 2 over the line. Like I said, the black states, states that are colored in black have not been declared yet. But look, North Carolina, Georgia has flipped from blue to red. Pennsylvania, that was described as key if Kamala Harris had any chance of winning today. That is now also red. So the blue wall is in big trouble, and it shows that this is how we got here in terms of where Donald Trump is sitting at the moment and why he's now almost certain to end up at the White House, Michelle.
Yeah, certainly. And it appears that Mu Deng, the baby hippo, was right in that prediction, Nick.
He was spot on, and it shows about the polls. We discussed yesterday just how close. They said 1%, as we can see here already. That's not 1%, and it really speaks to some of the facts and figures coming out already, that there are a lot of maybe silent or closeted Trump voters, people who maybe they don't like the man, but their policy or their wallets resonated with them or felt better during the time he was in office. We've also seen a swing of 18% of Latino voters from 2020. 18% more have swung to Donald Trump. So there's something to say for that.
Yeah. Look, one has to point out as well that Donald Trump effectively has been campaigning for the last 4 years, hasn't he? Kamala Harris has been campaigning for just over 100 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, the Democrats will do their research. They'll have tough questions already. The question is today, if Joe Biden had not dropped out, would he have done better? That's the question some Democrats are asking. And of course, Donald Trump was adamant for a good few years now that he's going to come back, and he's been still in control of the Republican Party in many ways over the last few years, even telling Republicans to reject certain bills because he believed he was coming back to office. And now it looks like he is.
So what does this mean now? He's coming back to office, Nick, and I think that's a foregone conclusion, just looking at especially the results from those swing states. Kamala Harris, and when these calls are made about whether states have gone blue or red, even when the results aren't officially declared, the calls are made when there is no possibility that that state is going to go one way or the other, right? So they certainly are, most of the time, if not all of the time, quite spot on. So it means Donald Trump is headed for the White House. I think that's probably a certainty at this point. But who else goes to the White House with Donald Trump?
Well, Michelle, that's the interesting part. South African-born Elon Musk, he was at the Trump campaign a few hours ago. Donald Trump has promised him involved in government and big business and a link up like that. We know Donald Trump has a lot of CEO friends. There's, of course, a Kennedy who's been promised. He was running against Donald Trump as an independent. He later endorsed Trump. He's been spoken about by Trump as a head of health in his government. And of course, Donald Kennedy is an anti-vaxxer. He's a conspiracy theorist openly. These are the kind of people that Trump has already said, look, I'm going to bring some of these people with me. And clearly the voters in America don't have too much of a problem with that.
So some of the key issues that both of these candidates were campaigning on in the run-up to the election, things like women's reproductive rights, border issues, the Palestine-Gaza issue. I want to focus for a moment on the reproductive rights issue. What does this mean now for a Trump White House for women in America?
Look, again, and that's some of the concern. There's been debate and, again, comments from Trump implying that it will end up being a man who is in charge of reproductive rights issues for women. We know he's appointed 3 Supreme Court justices during his time, which have all taken the chance at striking down Roe v. Wade. That's, again, the set key abortion law in America. Trump has promised that he will not enact a national abortion restriction. This despite members of his own party really calling on him to do so. So we will see in terms of that. But there are a lot of women waking up in America today who are deeply concerned for their reproductive rights.
And of course, Trump is still in court, right? His case will probably roll on until such time that he is in office, and then it'll all go away.
Look, I mean, we've seen Donald Trump. He's been impeached while he was in office. He's a convicted felon, as you read in your intro. It has not made a difference in any way to his voters. And again, it's key to understand when we're looking at has it made a difference. Donald Trump has outperformed his 2016 and his 2020 results in so many areas. And there was a graphic which looked at specifically Kamala Harris and has she outperformed Joe Biden compared to 2020 in any area at all, talking suburbs, cities, by 3% or more. Not a single area that Kamala Harris has managed to beat Joe Biden's vote share, like I said, by 3% or more. And that's what's been the key issue here.
Sure. Incredible story. As we said in our introduction, Donald Trump has already come out and declared his victory speech. Kamala Harris, the Democrat candidate, has yet to concede. But certainly looking at those numbers, it looks like it's a foregone conclusion. Nic Andersen, thanks very much indeed. A great wrap of some of the big issues we need to take a look at when we think all things US elections.